Malcolm Louie here. Welcome to Eversprint.com. Today we're speaking with Mike Lieberman, the co-founder, CEO, and Chief Revenue Scientist of Square 2 Marketing, a fast-growing full-service digital growth agency specializing in helping companies build effective relationships and drive revenue with their prospects and customers. Mike grew his company's revenue from $2.6 million in 2013 to $4.9 million in 2016, an 89% increase, and now they're on track to hit $6 million this year. Welcome to the call, Mike.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
So Mike, how did you do it? How did you grow your company's sales so fast?
Well, it certainly wasn't easy, and basically through a lot of kind of perseverance and constant iteration primarily. So we are constantly looking at our sales process. We're constantly looking at the marketing that we're doing. We're constantly applying the same skills, the same methodology, the same tools that we apply for our clients. One of our core values is practice what you preach. So we try to do everything that we're recommending our clients do for our own business. And it's nice when we can show steady revenue growth like you described. It kind of validates that what we're doing actually works.
Did you grow your business by doing more business with your current clients, or did you grow it by finding new clients to help?
I would say primarily it was through finding new clients to work with. We typically have a pretty consistent relationship with our current clients. So we work with them, we kind of get them set up, and then we either continue to work with them in kind of more of like a maintenance mode, or they attempt to bring the program in-house. So even if we've done a good job, they tend to like to try to do some of it on their own. Now, sometimes that works and they're good, and more times than not, they come back and say, hey, we realize we still kind of need your help. So we have kind of like really intensive relationships with our clients out of the gate. Maybe that's a year or two. Some percentage of our clients continue on like that, and we might work with them for 4, 5, 6, or even longer years. And then another percentage of them kind of attempt to kind of take it in-house and do it on their own. What that means is, and the reason I'm telling you that, is we need a steady flow of new clients. So primarily, the way we grew the business was getting better at our own marketing, getting better at our own sales, and increasing the flow of new clients into the business.
Can you share who your ideal clients are and what the best results you're able to deliver to them?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of people ask me that, like, what does your best client look like? And I think what they're looking for is, a certain industry or a certain size in terms of number of employees or revenue. And that's not really how we answer that question. So typically our best client is someone that has a really successful business who is really good at what that business does, but recognizes that, how to market that business and how to tune and optimize the sales part of that business is very, very important, worth investing in, but not their core competency. And they come to us and say, hey, I want you guys to tell me what to do in this area. I'm going to trust you to do it. We're going to agree on what success looks like, and I'm going to put the ball in your hands and say, go ahead, make that happen. So that could be a $5 million company, that could be a $50 million company, that could be a $500 million company. It really doesn't matter. It's more about the psychographic profile of the leaders who say marketing and sales is really important. I know what we've done in the past is not working anymore. I want to try something new. I'm comfortable trying something new, and I trust you guys to tell us what to do and carry do the heavy lifting where we can't. That's who is going to be extremely successful with us.
For those sort of clients, the ones that are open-minded and know that they need help and are willing to have your team help them, what are the best results that you're able to deliver for them?
The results really vary. We have a handful of success stories where the companies have exited and they've sold their businesses, and we've been part of that journey with them. We positioned them, we built the revenue generation machine they needed to justify a high valuation, and those companies were sold. So, obviously that's one set of results. A more traditional set of results are increases in visitors to their website, increases in leads into the sales process, increase in sales opportunities, increase in close rate, shortened sales cycle, increased revenue growth, average revenue per client growth. So there were a lot of very specific sales and marketing and revenue related metrics that we track for our clients. that we have been able to show up and to the right for them as a result of the work we've done for them.
Can you share how you're able to find your best clients, the ones that have that psychographic profile that you're looking for?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, one of our core values is practice what you preach, and we basically run the same marketing and sales playbook that we would recommend our clients run. And the result of that is we get roughly 400 or so leads a month from our own marketing. And we do also a lot of speaking, and we have a book that's coming out. So, we publish a lot of content, and we amplify our content in the marketplace, and that generally produces another 100 or so leads at the top of our revenue cycle. And my sales team sifts through those leads looking for people who kind of match the psychographic and demographic I talked about a few minutes ago. The result of that is generally, 4 to 6 new clients a month, and that is the metric that we need in order to hit our revenue goals.
For the 400 leads a month that are coming from your own marketing, can you share some details on what your marketing is? And you also mentioned how your sales team needs to sift through them. So can you talk a little bit about the wide range of leads that you're getting?
Yeah, so because of the marketing that we do, it's very content heavy and it's very educational. You're basically attracting a group of people who are at all stages of the buyer journey. So they could be very early in their buyer journey, in which case they don't want to talk to a sales rep, or they could be deep in the buyer journey, in which they do want to talk to somebody in sales. So when I say sifting through, that's kind of what the salespeople are trying to decide. Where are these people in their buyer journey? And we're having the salespeople focus on those people who are really deep in it, who have decided this is a priority, have money allocated for it, are starting to look at their options, and they want someone to help them make a good, safe decision around who to work with. So the sales team is kind of looking for people at the back end of the buyer journey who are really serious about doing something in the next 30 days, basically. Now, it may end up taking more like 60 days, but generally they're looking for someone to work with, and they're looking to kind of get started pretty quickly. The rest of the leads, let me just finish. The rest
Sure.
of the leads, because that's, if you think about the traditional funnel, which I actually don't think is a model we should be looking at anymore, there's a lot of people at the top and a little people at the bottom, less people at the bottom. So in our case, it's the same. Most of the people are early in their buyer journey, and what we do is we continue to nurture them through our own marketing without needing sales to participate in that. So if they download something from our website, we continue to email them additional pieces of content and additional educational opportunities in a hope that we can proactively pull them through their buyer journey by giving them more educational information and helping them feel more comfortable at what they're trying to do, to the point where they're feeling empowered and ready to talk to a salesperson. So that's the kind of marketing and sales playbooks we execute.
Okay. Now, how does your sales team assess that the leads that are coming through are deep in their buyer journey and they're ready or are really keen on getting something done in the next 30 days?
Right. So that's a very good question. So our sales process, which takes over when the buyer journey moves into a sales stage, is designed to continue that same kind of educational experience. So we will talk to anyone who wants to talk to us, regardless of their size and their stage of buyer journey. So when they're ready to talk to us, we make ourselves available. We feel like if we're helpful and going to be a good guide for them in their journey, then we'll be the one that's positioned appropriately to help them when they're ready to buy. And if they're not a good fit for us, we have various options for which we can off-ramp them to either a smaller agency if they have smaller budgets, or maybe we would recommend they buy our book, or maybe we can have them come to some workshop programs that we might offer in different cities. So we have kind of a variety of offers that we will fit to them and their budget and their buyer journey and their business needs. But primarily we have a 30 to 45 minute call, which we call a discovery call. And in that call, we're asking them all the questions we need to understand where they are, like how big a priority is this for you, and have you created a budget for it yet? And if not, well, let's talk about that, and we'll see if we can help you come up with a budget. And what are your goals for your sales and marketing program? So we're asking them all the important questions we need to be able to help them. But those are also qualification questions to know how far along that journey they are. If they're far enough along, we'll take them to our next part of our sales process, which is a diagnostic call, kind of like when you go to the doctor, where we'll ask them even more questions about their sales and marketing. And we'll actually run some tests on their current sales and marketing and diagnose where we think their weaknesses and give them some recommendations that they can either take and execute on their own, or we're hoping that they would ask us to help them with that. And if they're not ready for that, then we have, like I said, we have other things that they can get involved with until they're ready.
Right. So does their sales team reach out to every one of the 400 leads to figure out where they are, or does the 400 leads raise their own hand and then your sales team gets in touch?
That's exactly right. So the 400 leads are people who are kind of identifying themselves to us, but the sales team really only engages with the people that ask to speak to us. So, I would say probably 350 of those are, not ready to talk to us. So obviously sales is not engaging with them, but the 50 or so, or maybe that's a little high, the 30 or so that do ask to talk to us, that's when sales is getting involved and having that initial conversation with them. And, we're trying to decide if they're right for us, but we're also helping them decide that whether we're right for them. So it's like a joint conversation about whether there's good fit there, whether we're talking to the right person, whether they actually have acute pain that we can help them with.
Some consulting firms, when they do the discovery call and the diagnostic call, they charge for those. Does your firm charge for them as well to help?
We don't charge, and you're right. Some people do that. We feel like it's our mission to help people understand, what the changes are going on in the sales and marketing space and in the revenue generation space in general, and we want to share that knowledge with them. So that's just a mission that we're on as a company, and because of that, we will talk to anybody who wants to talk to us, and we're willing to invest the 30 to 45 minutes with them to help them get a little bit smarter about what they're going to do. And, like I said, if it's not a fit, that's great. Hopefully we made a friend. Lots of times some people come back to us 6 months or, 2 years later and say, look, I talked to you guys a while ago. My company was too small, but you really treated me respectfully, and I really liked what you had to say. And now we've gotten a little bit bigger, and I feel like I'm more appropriate for you guys in terms of working together. So nothing makes us happier than when something like that happens, and that's why we don't charge for that.
Right. So how are you keeping in touch with the people who you talk to, but then they decide that it's not the right time to work together?
Yeah, so we have a lot of active nurture campaigns that run kind of in the background. We're a big HubSpot partner, so we run HubSpot for marketing and sales automation, and we put people on, in campaigns, and we tag them based on what they're interested in, and then we nurture them at a reasonable pace. So that doesn't mean they get something from us every day. That doesn't mean they get something from us every week, but maybe they might get something from us once a month. They can also set their own preferences and decide how frequently they want to hear from us. And the point there is just to kind of continue to educate them and continue to give them advice and guidance around the things that they're trying to do, to the point when they are ready. They already are comfortable with us. They already know us. They already have been getting good, high-quality content from us, and they re-engage, and we can now talk to them about potentially helping them in a more direct way. So those nurture campaigns kind of run in the background. They're kind of prospect specific and issue specific, and our tools help us do that in a very scalable way.
Right. What about on the outbound marketing side? What are you doing there?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Today, marketing is a little bit of a blend of inbound and outbound. And it really comes down to the requirements of our client. So in our case, we don't do a ton of outbound. Now, like I said, we do a lot of kind of public speaking. We do speak at events. So, I kind of consider that inbound. I consider that just a different form of content publication. But I guess you could maybe make an argument that because we're seeking out these speaking opportunities, that we're, putting our message out in front of people that maybe aren't necessarily looking for us. So that might be an outbound-ish tactic that we're doing, but we don't make cold calls. We don't send cold emails. We don't do a lot of advertising. We may run a LinkedIn paid campaign from time to time to promote a webinar we're doing. We might do some Google paid campaigns from time to time to promote some content that we might think is interesting. But generally, our marketing efforts are probably 90% inbound.
Now, I know that you appreciate practicing what you preach, using your own methodologies to develop business for your own company. But outbound typically has been the approach to grow one's business fast, right? Because you can scale it up. Is there any particular reason why you chose not to be more aggressive on the outbound side?
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with outbound being like the perfect scalable growth machine. I think that um, outbound is right in certain scenarios, and from our perspective, generally outbound works well when you know who your customers are. So, if a client came to us and they're like, well, I want to go after the 500 largest hospitals in the United States, I would say, great, you are a candidate for an outbound marketing campaign because we know who these people are. We can target them. We can identify their contact information. We can create very specific messages for them, and we can go and make sure our messages get in front of them, right? In our case, I don't really know who my customers are, and there's so many of them potentially out there that I'm not sure an outbound campaign would be the most. In fact, I know it would not be the most efficient way to spend our money. There's so many people searching. There's so many people looking for what we do that our money and our marketing energies are best spent being there when they're looking for us. So I find that to be a much more scalable approach than trying to make cold calls or trying to interrupt people or trying to get in front of people who aren't already looking for us. I don't think that's the way to go about it. And again, that's the same kind of recommendations our clients get. I think if you want to do outbound, you have to have a really big budget to do that, and you have to be comfortable with a lot of waste in your campaigns. And generally, I don't think that's the right advice in a lot of scenarios.
So in regards to scalability of inbound campaigns, can you share how, for example, say you wanted to double the leads you're getting each month from 400 a month to 800 a month? How would you do that?
I would be much more aggressive from a content publication perspective. I would be much more aggressive from a influencer marketing perspective. I would be much more aggressive from a content syndication perspective. So I would really try to amplify and increase the amount of thought leadership and interesting content that we're publishing in order to get cast a wider net, and the resulting net would produce a larger number of leads, again, that would produce a larger number of sales qualified leads at the back end of the revenue cycle.
So what's your thinking behind not doing exactly what you just outlined now? Why not totally ramp it up to the max?
Well, I mean, some of it has to do with budget, and what we can afford to do. We're a marketing and sales shop, and lots of times our limits are directly related to what we're doing for clients, right? Like, we do execute a pretty robust marketing campaign, but if I were to double that, I would have to likely hire another person or draw additional resources that are currently taking care of clients. So it's a balance that we have to strike between, what we're investing in marketing and what we're getting and what the resources we need to take care of our clients. So
right.
I think that if I wanted to do what you're suggesting, it's not about getting double the amount of leads. It's about doubling our close rate. So what we're doing to do exactly what you're talking about is focusing on the back end of the revenue cycle and producing a far superior sales process that gives our prospects a far superior experience with us while they're working with our sales team, so that we double our close rate, and that we even increase the amount of sales qualified leads that become sales opportunities that actually get recommendations from us and that close. I would like to see an 80% close rate on recommendations submitted, and that's how I'm going to double the amount of customers I get, as opposed to filling up the top of the funnel with just more leads.
Right. So are you saying right now then, since you said you'd like to see 80% close rate, that right now you're getting 40% when you provide recommendations?
We're doing a little better than that, but yeah, you're exactly right. There's improvement there. The space that we're in is highly competitive and basically oversaturated. So it's difficult for prospects to tell the difference between one agency and another.
Right.
And that is producing some downward pressure on pricing. We've been spending a lot of time this year trying to differentiate our agency, and I think we're now in a position through the end of this year and into next year to do that. And that will improve our close rate. It will be obvious why you want to hire us versus some other agencies. And that, in addition to the sales process work we've been doing, should produce that higher close rate that we've been talking about.
For the people who are listening to this interview now, What's the one thing that you would suggest that they try to improve their sales and marketing results?
Well, I mean, that's a difficult question to answer because, sales and marketing is such a complex set of executables. You're talking about getting found on Google all the way through the recommendations or the proposal that you give a prospect, right? So it's a really long and complex set of interactions that you're talking about. So what I would say to somebody is, look at that spectrum and try to find where the low-hanging fruit is. Lots of times people think, well, if I just got more leads, we would do better from a revenue perspective. And that is probably accurate, but that might not be the best thing you could do at the time. What we like to do with clients is look at a prioritization methodology, which is typically what is going to have the biggest impact for the least amount of effort. And if I apply that filter to all those things that I could do, lots of times you end up focusing on something like our close rate. So let's look at the close rate. If your close rate is 20%, if I can move that to 40%, I can double your revenue without generating more leads for you. And all I might have to do is look at the proposal or the recommendations or the contract or the agreement or the interaction between you and your highly qualified about to close prospect and say, what's going on there? How can we tune that in a little bit and reduce some friction to take you from 20 to 40%? And I might be able to do that in a month, as opposed to if I look at generating additional leads, it might take me 6 months to get you found on Google for key search terms. It might take me 2 months to redo your website. So sometimes it's about looking at that entire spectrum of activities and focusing on that thing that's going to have the biggest impact for the least amount of effort and then starting there. It's not to say I'm still not interested in higher rankings on Google. I still might be interested in a redesigned website that gives visitors a better experience. I still might be interested in publishing more content for you that will convert more visitors into leads and leads into sales opportunities. But I'm going to get to that after I double your close rate.
Right. That makes sense. Can you recap again who your ideal clients are and also suggest the best way for them to contact your team?
Sure, absolutely. So our best prospects are businesses that are looking for growth, businesses that understand that the way they're executing around revenue, and that's marketing, sales, and it could be customer service too, just to kind of stretch the conversation a little bit. Today, advocacy is huge from a sales and marketing perspective. We need customers that are going to say, yes, this company is great. We need success stories. We need video testimonials. We need reviews. We need that advocacy for sales and marketing to spin faster. If your customers are not in a position to do that, that should probably be something that we're talking about. Why aren't they willing to say great things about you publicly, and how do we help you fix that? So it's really marketing, sales, and service. So I'm looking for people that get that. I'm looking for people that want help with that. I'm looking for people that want a revenue generation engine installed in their already successful company to get them to the next level, and that they're willing to invest in it, and they're willing to be patient about getting that system built, and they're willing to trust us to do what we do every single day here as part of their team. We don't do vendor well. We're partners with our clients. And if that sounds like a scenario that really suits you as a leader or as a company, then you're going to be a perfect client for us, and we're going to have a very successful engagement. And the best way to get in touch with me, I respond to almost every email. So you could email me, mike@square2marketing.com. You can follow me at Mike2Marketing on Twitter. I post, a couple times a day. You can visit our website, www.square2marketing.com. There's a ton of educational material on our website where you can start to hear a little bit of what we do and our methodology and the stories that we tell. There's a lot of success stories on the website, so you can kind of hear what we've done for other clients that might be similar to your listeners' businesses, and it's very easy to get in touch with us on our website.
Thanks for joining us today, Mike, and sharing how you grew your company so fast.
Malcolm, thank you. It's been a real pleasure, and I appreciate you having me.
We've been speaking with Mike Lieberman, the co-founder, CEO, and chief revenue scientist of Square 2 Marketing, about his company's growth. For interviews with other fast-growing companies, or to learn how we can increase your firm's high-ticket sales through automation, visit eversprint.com.